You know that feeling, right? You're in a new place, you've locked the door, but you still feel kind of watched. We always think of danger as being out there, but what happens when the very place you pick to feel safe, like a cozy Airbnb, actually becomes the source of the fear? Well, that's exactly what we're going to get into.
I mean, think about it. On one side, you've got a hotel. It's, predictable. There's a front desk, there's staff, key cards. It's all pretty anonymous. But then you have the Airbnb. It's unique, it's private. You get to feel like you live there. But it's also a stranger's home, a space with a whole history you know nothing about. You're basically trading that boring predictability for a more personal and unknown experience.
The whole idea, the entire system, is built on a foundation of trust. You're trusting the host, you're trusting the photos, you're trusting that you're going to be safe once you lock that door. So what happens when that trust just gets completely shattered?
Yeah, we're all drawn to that promise, aren't we? The promise of an authentic stay. A private cabin deep in the woods, or a super cool apartment right in the middle of the city. It's sold to us as a home away from home.
But for some people, that dream stay sours into an absolute nightmare. We're about to walk through 3 completely true and frankly harrowing accounts from people who found themselves in the worst possible situation. And these aren't just spooky tales, they're real-life case studies and how that feeling of security can just vanish in an instant.
So, for our first story, let's head to the beautiful but very remote Adirondack Mountains. A woman books this secluded cabin looking for a weekend of just peace and quiet, the perfect getaway, right? Or so she thought.
The terror here really builds slow. It starts with something small, that prickly feeling of being watched while she's out for a jog. Later, she hears these strange noises in the cabin, but she just brushes it off. It's an old house, maybe it's just her anxiety. But then, at midnight, she goes downstairs, and she sees him. A figure, a man, just standing there in her kitchen. She bolts, runs to the bedroom, locks the door, and calls the police as he starts pounding on it.
This whole thing perfectly illustrates a really specific and frankly terrifying kind of fear, what we can call the unseen threat. See, this isn't about someone trying to break in. The danger is already inside with you. All those locks you so carefully checked, they're completely useless.
The sheer horror of it is just captured perfectly in her own words. She did everything right, exactly what any of us would do. She checked the lock 3 times, but the entire time, her safety was just an illusion.
So who was this guy? Well, the police show up, and the truth that comes out is somehow even creepier than you're imagining. The intruder was the homeowner's ex-fiancé. Get this, he had been hiding in a closet for days, just living off snacks and beer, and when the police finally got him, they found a kitchen knife on him. She had been sleeping in a house with a strange man literally hiding in the walls.
Okay, so our next case is different. This one isn't about a threat that's already inside. It's about a threat trying to trick its way in. A guy is staying at an Airbnb the night before a huge job interview. All he wants is a good night's sleep.
Just look at how this all unfolds. It's late, after 11:30, and the doorbell rings. There's a guy claiming he has a pizza delivery, but he's holding a little paper bag, not a pizza box. Red flag number 1. He insists he has the right address. As the guest is arguing with him, the guy suddenly grabs for the screen door handle. He finally leaves, but then his car just sits in the driveway with the engine running. And the absolute most chilling part? The next morning, the guest finds the front door unlocked, held shut only by the little chain lock.
So while this is happening, the guest is terrified, and he's messaging the Airbnb host for help. He can see those 3 little dots, showing that the host is typing a reply, and then nothing. They just disappear. The message never comes. The one person who could have explained everything or called for help just ghosts him. And that leaves you with this awful question. Was this just a random creepy encounter, or is something else going on?
Now for our last story. Here, the threat isn't one person, it's a group, and they're coordinated. We've got a family, a mom, a dad, a 13-year-old daughter, and an 8-year-old son. They've rented a beach house for a summer vacation.
So the very first night, the little 8-year-old son is terrified. He says he saw ghosts moving around in the backyard. The next night it gets even worse. He claims one of the ghosts actually tapped on his window and threatened to hurt his family if he screamed. His parents, trying to be rational, just figure he has an overactive imagination. To make him feel better, they all decide to have a little camp out and sleep in the living room together.
In the middle of the night, the boy wakes his dad up. He says, "The ghosts are outside." And when the father looks, his blood just runs cold.
It was never his son's imagination. Standing right there at the sliding glass door are 3 figures in hoodies, wearing these awful masks with big, bulging white eyes.
The family just starts screaming as one of the figures tries to jimmy the locked door open. The father later said it felt like they weren't just trying to get in, they were taunting them, waving a knife, almost like they were enjoying the psychological terror they were causing.
So when the police finally get there, they actually catch the guys. The so-called ghosts were 3 local young men. 2 were 20, 1 was 18. And law enforcement explained that these guys were part of a known group that specifically targets tourists, especially families, because they figure they have money and are an easier target. The family's vacation home had become a hunting ground.
Okay, so 3 totally different, totally terrifying situations. You've got an intruder who's already inside, a deceptive stranger at the door, and a targeted group attack from the outside. But what's the common thread here? What ties all of these nightmares together?
Well, when you actually break these down, a pretty clear pattern starts to show up. The story in the Adirondacks, that's an internal threat, and it plays on that deep-seated fear that your locks mean absolutely nothing. The job interview story is all about external deception, but with that added layer of horror of what if the host was in on it? And the family vacation, that highlights a targeted attack, which preys on our most primal fear, the vulnerability of our family.
At the end of the day, each story, in its own horrible way, violates the exact same fundamental promise that a service like Airbnb is built on. The promise that this temporary house can actually be a safe home, that it can be a sanctuary.
It really leaves us with a deeply unsettling question to chew on the next time you're scrolling, looking for that perfect rental. When you're handed the keys to a stranger's home for a few days, are you really their guest? Or have you just made yourself a target?